Yeah. Hi everyone. In this session, we are going to discuss about various key concepts of doing the system design. Okay. So which are we are going to discuss about scalability perspective, availability, and then what is cap theorem, and what are the transaction acid properties, and what is consistent hashing, and where it's exactly being used, and what is rate limiting, which is helping to like avoid DDoS attack and secure our API resources, and then what is single point of failure and how we can rectify it, and then what is fault tolerance, and then how we can make our application is fault tolerance, and what are the consensus algorithm where generally being used, and what is gossip protocol. Okay. And then what is service discovery, okay, generally where we are using service discovery is being used, and then what are the APE designs, components. Okay. And then what are the like types in disaster recovery, and what is distributed tracing. These are the key concept we are going to discuss about generally now. Okay. Yeah, let's start. Okay. So first, scalability perspective. The what is scalability generally? The ability of the system to handle when the load is increased, it should be handled, but without performance degradation. That is called scalability. There are three different types, which is vertical scaling, and which is help increasing the resources of the single machine. So we can generally increase CPU or RAM sizes, we can increase, which is vertical scaling up and then scaling down. Okay. And another one is horizontal scaling, which is scaling in and scaling out. Okay. Adding more machines to distribute the loading, so which is generally AWS auto scaling group will help us to do that. And then the elasticity. So this concept is called based on the load, based on the demand, dynamically it can scale by itself. Okay. Which is handled by AWS Lambda and ECS Fargate. What are the AWS services which is providing it? Auto scaling is handled, and then ECS Lambda and DynamoDB on demand capacity. These services are in nature, they have a like a capabilities of doing the scalability. Okay. And then second concept is availability. What is availability? The ability of system to remain operational over time. Even any issue is occurs, the system should be available. Okay. So that is called availability. So two different there are two concepts is there: high availability, which is ensures minimal downtime with redundancy. Okay. Which is called generally being used multi availability zone, RDS. Okay. And another one terminology is SLA, service level agreement. So generally when requirement comes, we can see the level agreement uptime guarantees 90 percentage or 98 percentage. These are the things we can get it as a requirement. Okay. So what are the services is available? RDS, multi availability zone, S3, and route 53, which is helpful for health checks. Okay. So another concept is cap theorem. In distributed system environment, you can only guarantee two out of three, which are cap theorem is C stands for consistency, A stands for availability, and P stands for partition tolerance. Consistency, every reads get most recent, right, most latest update, latest value we can get it. Availability, every request get a response, even if it's idle, even if it's having any issue. Okay. Partition tolerance, system functions even if it face any network failures, network issues. Okay. So what are the examples, real world examples? We can see it in DynamoDB. It by default it ensures AP, which is availability and partition tolerance. uh, and then consistency also, it's tunable. Okay. There are two different consistency: eventual consistency and strong consistency. That's also we can manage it, we can configure in DynamoDB. Okay. And the RDS, it's provide two properties, which are CP consistency and partition tolerance for SQL databases. Then next key concept is ACID transaction. Okay. ACID transactions are A stands for atomicity. If we are doing any particular transaction, if everything is completed, it will everything success, it will be success. If any one of the particular part is failure, then the entire process is failure. That is called atomicity. And consistency, it validate the state of the transactions in all the distributed system. And isolation, independent transaction don't affect any other other transaction, another functionalities. Okay. And then durability, committed data persist in all the environment. Okay, so what are the services is available? So RDS and Aurora with RDS ACID compliance we can do it. Okay, and then another one concept is consistent hashing. So where we are generally consistent hashing being used, yeah, load balancing techniques, which is load balancing techniques that minimize rebalancing when the nodes are added and removed. Okay, you have a multiple nodes. Okay, so the load balancer having algorithm to distribute the loads in various target groups, various systems. Okay, when you add a new nodes, when you remove the new nodes, it should not affect anything. Okay, it should not affect any. It should not lose any traffics, any request. So consistent hatching will make sure even the nodes are added and removed, all the requests being processed successfully. Okay, so it's commonly being used in caches as well. In Redis cluster also it will be used. And then what are the services the consistent hashing is following, which is Elastic Cache and DynamoDB partition. Okay, and then what is rate limiting? It controls number of the requests a client can make within a frame to prevent the abuse. Okay, so there are various algorithms rate limiting we can implement it. So two of them is token bucket and another one is leaky bucket. Token bucket is token refill at a constant time rate. Okay, and then a leaky bucket the process request at a fixed rate. Okay, what are the services we can use for a rate limiting? API gateway throttling, it's a services providing it, and web application firewalls also. Through that we can do the rate limiting. Okay, and then what is single point of failure? A component whose failure can cause the entire system failure is called single point of failure. Generally it should be avoided. Okay, so we have what is the mitigation, what is the remediation for this single point of failure? We have to do the redundancy and failover mechanism. If anything is went wrong, what will be the callback, what will be the fallback mechanism we have, that we have to follow it. And then what are the services available, which is multi availability zone deployment and route 53 health checks. So these are the services which help us to avoid single point of failure. Okay, and what is fault tolerance? The ability of the system to continue functioning even it faces any issues. Okay, that is called fault tolerance. What are the techniques we can follow? Replications we can do it, and retry mechanism we can follow it, and then we can use circuit breakers. Okay, that will help us to figure out the particular service's failure. If it's failed, then what we have to do, that we have to stop the request processing to the particular service. We have to stop the request redirecting to the particular service. We have to we have to send the request to uh, currently running service. We can send it. So circuit breakers, it will be act as the intermediate. It will figure out what are the services are active, what are the services are inactive. If it's failed, how to find out everything, it will do it. Okay, and then the AWS service, what are the services it's providing? S3 with cross region replications and Aurora with failover. So these are the things will help us to handle fault tolerance. Okay, and then another concept is consensus algorithms. Generally this algorithm is helping us to achieve agreement in distributed system. Okay, so it will use the two distributed databases for leader evictions. Okay, generally the Aurora, one of the AWS example is Aurora example, quorum based replication internally. So what it will do, it will help us to it's mainly being used for replications. Okay, you have a distributed environment, so you have to make sure all the systems are consistent, all the data are consistently replicated in all the environment. So generally these raft or paxos consensus algorithms will help us to replicate the data in various environments. Okay, and then what is next one is gossip protocol. Okay, this is one of the protocol which help us to transfer and share the information dynamically with various distributed nodes. Okay, decentralized of way for a node to share the information without any central coordinators. Okay, generally it being used for a service discovery and cluster state synchronization. What are the services being used? Is ECS, DynamoDB, and the internal cluster management. So this gossip protocol is being used. So it's called kind of peer-to-peer communications. All the peers connected to the network, they will share their status and the information to another peer nodes. It will share it. Okay. So then another concept is service discovery, which will help us to find out whether a particular service is active or not. Okay, enable service to find out and communicate with each other dynamically. There are two different types, which is client side discovery and server side discovery. Client side discovery, client will make the request to find out the status, and then server side discovery, server, the load balancer will act as a intermediate that will make the API call, kind of health checks API calls, okay, to make sure the service is running or not. Okay, so then what are the services available? ECS service discovery it has, and then Route 53 and app mess. So these are the services are available. And then what is the API design? When you are going to build any APIs, what are the principles you have to follow it, what are the design like a standard you have to follow it. So there are three different types, which first one is REST APIs. Generally API is being used for communicating between two services. Okay, so there are three different types, which is REST API services, which are stateless and resources oriented. And then GraphQL, which is another service is GraphQL, which is flexible queries. So if we there is no any strict types. If we need any custom data in your response, you can do it dynamically, so that's also possible. And then grpc, so which is high performance and securable, and then it's using binary protocol, which is kind of remote procedure. So the data it will be compressed, and then it will be uh, transferred under a tunnel. Okay, so yeah, these are the things. And then what are the services is providing is a API gateway and app sync. These are the services is providing help us to build the APIs. And then the another concept is disaster recovery. When there is a issue it occurs, how we can rectify it, how, what will be our fallback mechanism, what will be our uh, like a remedy. Okay, how we can resolve that issue. So there are four different types, which are backup and restore, which is regular backups we have to do it. So we can see some delays to make the application up again when the particular issue is occurs. And then another type is pilot light, so we can keep the minimal resources standby in the particular environment. Okay, and warm standby is particular active resources, we can keep it another environment which is still running. If any issue occurs, we can redirect it to the uh, another region environment. And multi-site active and active, this is another disaster recovery strategies. You can keep all the resources in another region. Okay, when the request is when the issue is occurs, you can redirect all the traffic to the new functioning regions. You can redirect it. That is called multi-site active and active, which is make more uh, cost. So, but the uptime is very less. Okay, so you don't face any downtime generally. Okay, so what are the services generally providing? S3 cross region replication and cloud endure. So these are the services are generally available. And another one concept is distributed tracing. Generally it will help us to track the request across the distributed system to analyze the performance. It will help us to find out where the performance leakage is happening, where the issue is happening, what are the things it's for go through when the request it comes, what are the functionalities it crashes, where the request it goes, currently request is what it's currently doing it, everything we can track it. So the what are the techniques following is distributed context propagations and span and traces id, which help us to find out the particular request functionalities. And then what are the services available, which are X-ray, CloudWatch, Service Lens. These are the services are help us to build distributed tracing in distributed environment. Okay, so these are the key concept which help us to building our uh, application. When you are going to build any new applications, like these are the key concept we have to keep in mind, and then we have to follow it. It will help us to make our application very robust. Okay, yeah, that's it for this session. Okay, so we will discuss another the next session will be what are the key components, okay, we have which help us to build our system, help us to build our architecture for our applications, that we are going to discuss about in the next session. Yeah, that's it guys. Yeah, thanks everyone.